Okay. Now, data types. If we look at the data type on top, we have got two sides of it. First one is number data types, the other one is non-numbers. Numbers data type is having then two major sides, whole numbers and real numbers. And third one is currency. Alright. Whole numbers we have got signed numbers and unsigned numbers, and in real numbers we have got floating point, and in currency we have got BCD. If you do remember, this was the part of conversion. Now, in BCD, we know that every single digit is having 4 bits binary. In whole numbers, if it is signed, it is 2's complement. We did this maths, addition, subtraction with 2's complement. And unsigned numbers, which are pure integer. Real numbers are floating point. These are not part of AS. We will be doing it in A to Z. All you have to, what is expected, all you have to do is to remember that what sort of these values belong to what sort of data type. Any other data type that comes to mind, alphanumeric or such, are not part of the syllabus anymore. So please do not go. So currency, real and whole number, and whole number we have got signed and unsigned values. Then we have got non-numbers. Non-numbers, we have got characters, and it is a must that if we are dealing with character in pseudocode, we are actually enclosing every single character with a single quotation. In text, if we are in pseudocode, we are enclosing text in double quotation. We had questions in past papers which were explicitly asking for uh, having this data, and they were based upon these single quotes and double quotations. So you have to be very careful with it. As far as language is concerned, in language they both are actually in double quotation. The language that we are going to develop is Visual Basic. So if we are in Visual Basic, whether it is a character or text, both are in double quotation. But if it is in pseudocode, it has to be single quote for character and double quotation for text. String. Boolean. Boolean, we do not actually put hash signs for true and false, but that is a norm. So if it is a pseudocode, we can go with these, but these would remain optional. Date, we have to enclose date in double quotation hash. Date and time both. And I did explain in P1 that date and time are not saved as they are presented. They are rather saved in the form of number of seconds since inception. So system is actually keeping number of seconds. Out of those seconds, whatever the format that you like your date to be seen in, the computer forms it. So afterwards, most important thing is that how many bytes each type is actually acquiring. This is very important to be remembered. Currency takes 8 bytes, signed integers take 4 bytes, unsigned integer takes 4 bytes, real takes 4 bytes. Character takes 1 byte, string as required. For example, this Zafar string is actually going to have 5 bytes in it. Then we have Boolean, 1 byte. Then we have date, 8 bytes. I understand that in marking skills you may have different number of bytes allocated for different in the language, as in Visual Basic. For example, Boolean takes 2 bytes and all. But whatever it is, keep that in mind. we would be following this. If we have got further options like a character or a boolean might be taking 2 bytes, that is okay, but I will be taking these. So अगर आपके पास एक सारा options हैं भी तो ये option building का part नहीं है. So we will be following this one. Alright. Then you are expected to choose a data type for an identifier. You will be given these identifiers or at least field names. You would have to choose for it. For example, ID is integer. You would have to look at the sample data that is given. What sort of data is given with ID? If that data is just numbers, take integer. If it is a mix of it, then string. Name is always string, address is always string, class depends. If it is integer, then integer. If it is like 1b or 2c, then it should be string. Grade is always a character, is fee paid, whatever the identifier with interrogative sense in it should be boolean. Then secondly, you will be asked that what would be the size of the report, so you would have to actually take into consideration that what size is given to what type. So if it is integer 4 bytes, a string name, let's say we take 15 bytes for a string, then address we take 30 bytes for string. In class, as it is required 2 bytes, maybe grade 1 character, boolean 1 character, we would have to add it up. We will be looking into it shortly. So this is, let's say, example data. Here we have to enclose name in double quotation because it is string, address in double quotation, class in double quotation, grade in single quote because grade was character thing, and then hash for is fee paid. That is how we are actually looking at the identifiers and data types and how to present the data, and we would have to remember that what sort of data is actually having how many bytes allocated for it. So data types and sizes. Alright, so integer takes 4 bytes, real takes 4 bytes, character take 1, the string as required. As required does not mean that you people write as required. Mostly what I have seen sometimes you people put as required. As required is just for your knowledge. If it is a name, it should be around like 15, 20, and if it is address, it should be like 25, 30. If it is class, then 2 or 3 characters. It does not mean that you write it yourself. As required means as you seem it is good, as much as you can. Boolean, date, currency. Then the value that we assign, for example, name is equal to Ali. So name is actually identifier and Ali is actually literal. Alright. So what is literal? Literal is actually whatever that you assign. For example, name is equal to solution. So this solution is literal. This name is identifier. Exam marks is equal to 25. So this 25 is literal and exam marks is an identifier. So what are literals? The values that we assign to the variables. The values that system keeps in the memory. These are called what? Literals. Then every single data type needs to be connected to an identifier so that we could reserve as much space in the memory. For example, we want to have exam marks stored in the memory. When I say memory, what I mean is main memory. When I say storage, I mean hard disk or copy or USB storage device. So when you like to keep data in memory, you have to first reserve space. Reservation of space so that you could keep data there during the execution of program is called declaration. So how do we actually declare? We use the word declare, and if it is language, then we use the word def. These keywords are actually very important. We need to remember them. Declare, exam marks, is full and serves as Declare exam marks as integer, declare exam fee as real, declare grade as character, the student name as string, so on and so forth. And if it is language, as we are going to adopt Visual Basic, we have dim, declare in memory, then identifier and word, keyword as, and then keyword the data type. Okay. Now, what is an identifier? A name given to a variable, function, procedure, array, a program, whatever. Whenever you like to actually have your data stored in memory, you need to declare. When you declare any storage, you have to name it so that you could refer to that storage with that particular name. So every variable, every function, every procedure, everything that you are going to refer to should have a name, and that name is called what? Identifier. Naming convention. When we name an identifier, we have to actually follow a few rules. These rules are called naming convention. Always start with alphabet or underscore. If you are having a digit at the start of the name, we are not actually thinking that this is a legit name. Every legit name should start with an alphabet, character, or underscore. So A1 is the right name, but 1A is not the right name. I'll always start with alphabet or underscore, like name 1 or underscore grade. Do not use special characters or spaces. It's not allowed. It's not allowed. These spaces are not allowed. Don't use keywords. All the keywords related to pseudocode or language should not be used as names of the variables or identifiers. And length should be within 255 characters. That's it for naming conventions and identifiers, and then it comes assignment. And I told you that assignment itself is a construct. So assignment, we are going to see these two symbols for assignment. What does it mean? First, you need to understand that in computer science, assignment should always be from right to left. So if we are like x is equal to a square plus 2ab plus b square, that is fine. But if we write like a square plus 2ab plus b square is equal to x, that is blunder from computer's point of view. In mathematics, it is okay. In physics, it is okay, but computer science is not. So whatever needs to be solved, whatever needs to be input, whatever that needs to be known should always be on the right side of equal to sign. And if it is not something in terms of formula that needs to be resolved or input or whatever, if it is just a value like this, it has to be on the right side. So 1 is equal to x is not correct, but x is equal to 1 is correct. Find it, especially when it comes to the program writing, people actually make such mistakes. So assignment should always be from right to left. That is why this arrow is pointing towards the left. In pseudocode we use arrow, but it really does not mean that you are asked to use arrow. I basically mostly prefer that we use equal to sign. So in pseudocode it may be an arrow, but in language it is always equal to sign. When a value is assigned to a variable, an assignment symbol is used. Assignment is always done right to left. Otherwise it is incorrect. So a is equal to 5 is correct, but 5 is equal to a is incorrect. Arrow symbol is used in pseudocodes, whereas equal to sign is used in languages. And then we have constants. When we actually reserve memory in computer, we have got so many options. So whatever the means that we utilize to hold data in computer's memory is called data structure. You are going to see several data structures in A2's, but in AS we have got just this constant, array and variable. So constants are those memory reservations, those memory areas which once made and given a literal, they cannot change their values during the execution of program. So we do not declare them with the word declare or dim. We declare them with the word constant or const. So constants are not variables; they are anti-variables. Once they are made like they are solid. They are solidified. Means you cannot change their values. So if you feel like that there must be a memory reserved which has got a value that does not need to be changed and it should not be changed during the execution of program, we should declare them as constants. Held memory locations which once made do not get changed. These are used when at the start of the program a programmer is sure that this particular value will be always constant during the execution of program. For example, text rate or pi. In pseudocode, we use the whole word constant for declaration, and in Visual Basic, we use the word const. They both mean the same. And pseudocode, there's a possibility that instead of equal to, you may see an arrow, which is pointing from right to left. So constant text rate is equal to 23.75, and Visual Basic, we would still be writing constant, but not completely, rather in short form. const text rate is equal to 23.75. Where do we use them? We will look into it later. So, in mind maps, while looking into data types, we know what identifiers are. Identifier table is actually a table that require you to uh, have an identified name, a type assigned, whereas types, we know the types and we know how to declare those types. So let's look into these identifier tables and file sizing calculations. File sizing calculations require us to actually assign data types and to calculate the size of the record. For example, these questions, these are older questions. No such questions appear this way. Actually, nowadays, how do they appear in questions nowadays? We will look into it shortly. Let's see what does it mean. Details of students in a college are stored in computer system. Along data items stored are student name. So student name, what would be the type of student name? String. So address, string, date of birth, date. Achha, few people put date time together, but it's not date time together. If it is time, it is time. If it is date, it is date. Alright? And then marks obtained in the last mathematics exam. It might be real if it is uh, those marks which are having points in it, or it is integer. Whether or not it is minutes, it is interrogative, so it becomes Boolean. How much the student owes towards the cost of the trip. So this should be currency. What if they ask you to calculate the size of the record? So student name, let's say we choose for 20 bytes, then address 30 bytes, then age 58 हो गया size, 8 holds how many bytes? 8 bytes. And then we have marks obtained integer 4, boolean 1, currency 8. So together it is 20, 30, 50, 58, uh, 62, 70, 71. So one record size would be 71 bytes. So that is how you might have to calculate the size of the record. Then we have other questions like a small business has one shop. It specializes in taking portraits, photographs for customer. Details of the customer are stored on paper. It is decided to buy a standalone computer and use it to store customer records in a file. The following fields are to be stored: customer name string, customer telephone number. Now this is one important thing. So customer telephone number. Now telephone number needs to be understood properly. All those numbers which are not meant for any mathematical calculation but they are there for identification. Such numbers which are not actually meant for mathematical calculation and only for identification are actually strings. Alright. So cell phone number, telephone number, address, whatever ingredients are in then to categorize as string. Date of original commission. So whatever it is date, whether or not it is boolean. State suitable data types for each of the four fields. Okay. Name of uh, name of items in stock. It is string. Description. It is string. Cost. It is currency. Whether or not in stock. It is boolean. Number in stock. It is integer. Fast forward. This type of question started appearing from 2010 onwards. This is called data table. Ahmad, a designer, stores the following details of each job that he does in a file. Job ID. Now they are actually explaining that this is ID, but it is between 1 and 1000, so it means it is a number, an integer. Job description, price, expected completion date, paid, yes, no. So this is integer, this is string, this is currency, game, and bool. And then they require you to have field size as well. Look at the marks allocated. This is very important to remember the size of the field, and whatever that you remember should not deviate. Should not deviate from. So if you have decided that job ID is an integer, it should be 4. Do not think. People think that if it is 1, 2, 3, 4 uh, digits, that's why we are actually allocating. No, these are not strings. So 4 means 4 bytes. Okay. 4 bytes may have larger number than 1000, but still we call it 4 bytes because internal formation of these numbers and strings are always different. You do not actually link this knowledge with any other thing. You have to learn it like which data type takes how much bytes. Okay. All right. Look at this question. Amber stores the names of her favorite songs, tracks in an array. She has 56 track names. 56 means number of records. 56 track names at the moment and expect to reach 150. So it means that she would have as many as 150 records stored. She defined the array as one-dimensional array. The size 150 will store strings. She then initializes each element of the array. Part C. As her collection grows, Amber decides to hold more information about each track. The data for each track is structured as a record. Each record contains following data: unique track ID which is between 1 and 150 means it is an integer. Although it has the most number that it is saving is 150, but still integer would be holding how many bytes? 4 bytes. Track name would be string. Date bought would be date. Cost would be currency. Solo artist yes no would be uh, boolean. So let's say we have to actually calculate the size of the file as well. The track ID would be integer, that is of 4 bytes. Track name would be string, let's say that is of 15 bytes. Date bought would be date, 8 bytes. Cost would be currency, 8 bytes. Solo artist would be boolean and 1 byte. This is 36 bytes. This is 36 bytes for one record. And how many records we would have? 150. So 36 multiplied by 150, what would that be? 36 multiplied by 150. बताइए कितने बाइट्स होगा? 5400. So these are 5400 bytes. Alright. So these bytes are held in computer's memory and they are supposed to be stored in computer storage, which is a file. So when these 5400 bytes will be saved over the storage, the size gets inflated by 10%. हम इसको कहते हैं housekeeping. What do we call it? Housekeeping. 10% of 5400 would be 540. 540 plus 5400 would be 5940 bytes. Now this is very important factor that you need to remember, that whatever the size of the record is, that would be as per your estimation of the read size addition. That will be multiplied to what? Number of total records. Number of total records would be to what? Bytes. You would have to actually add 10% housekeeping. 10% housekeeping. This housekeeping is important factor. If you are not actually using housekeeping, you are actually going to lose around 2 marks. ठीक है? अच्छा, हो सकता है कि ये लोग फिर आपसे बोलें कि आप इसको किलोबाइट्स में और मेगाबाइट्स में कन्वर्ट करें. So this 5940 will be divided by 1024 in order to give you what number of kilobytes. Sometimes if the number is bigger, they might ask you to go up till megabytes. So whatever the kilobyte you would have divided by 1024 again to get it. Okay? Megabytes. Alright. Sometimes you may have questions like these where field name is different and they are expecting you to have an identifier which is different. So course code you would have to give what? Data type. अच्छा, अब आप यहाँ पर देखें, this is very important to understand that if it is an integer, integer cannot start with 0. Alright. देखिए अगर आपके पास let's say हम यहाँ पे टाइप करते हैं several times 0, देखिए I'm pressing 0. As soon as I press 5, 556. This number cannot have a zero at the start because it is what? An integer. Alright? So you need to understand that if you see a zero in front of a number, that number is string. Alright? With that being integer, ठीक है ना, zeros के शुरू में नहीं आ सकता. Alright, title. So this would be what? String. Title would be string. Tutor, they say that 3 letters initial, but still it is what? String. Acha, course code, how do we define the size? Acha, we are not actually confirmed that what would be the size. What we actually do is to count the number of characters in the example. So what is the count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we will be actually holding that as number of bytes. Now this is a title. We don't know what would be the size of title, so let's make it 25. And here they say that this is just 3 letters initial. 3 letters initial means it is 3. And then they say day of week. For Monday and for Sunday. So whatever, even if it is 2 or just 7 days or whatever, we are still making it integer, and integer is 4 bytes. And then we have a question, lab based. Is lab based? It means it is Boolean, and it is having 1 byte. Session duration in hours, 2.5. So this must be real, and this is 4 bytes. Fee as in currency, and it is 8 bytes. Date, and again we have got 8. They both are 8 bytes. So be very careful. Now there are 2 things that you need to understand. One is that real in Visual Basic, it is single, and currency in Visual Basic is decimal. Rest are same. So mind it, if it is language, real will be what? Single, and currency will be decimal. Okay? String remains string, integer remains integer, Boolean remains Boolean, real becomes single, currency becomes decimal, and date remains date. Date and time are having the same date and time. In current syllabus, this is exactly what is identifier table, that you would be having identifier data types and its description. The description depends upon reference to context, whatever the purpose of it. It mostly does not require you to enter the data size, but be ready for it. You might have such, and because it is not asking for any data size, the allocated marks are actually reduced as well.